All right, let's move on. All right, let's talk about some Knicks rumors. All right, lead the way, my man. Lead the way.
As we kind of mentioned before, Kristaps Porzingis may be a target for the New York Knicks. And, with I mentioning before, NBA.com, he was speaking about it, how it was one of his favorite places and that he thought everywhere was like that, but it's really not the case. And so there is some merit to this rumor here that maybe he does want to come back, and maybe the New York Knicks would do something to try and make that happen. Another one we've been seeing is Obi Toppin to be traded. And Obi Toppin really hasn't gotten into the rotation. I think he's got a lot of potential, but he's still playing behind Julius Randle, who plays upwards of, 35 to 38 minutes a game. And so Obi Toppin really isn't getting the flourishing that he needs and potentially could be a great player. And I think a lot of NBA teams could realize that. I know that there were some rumors this season that the Utah Jazz were trying to get him, trying to package a deal to attain him for Jared Vanderbilt when Jared Vanderbilt was on the Utah Jazz, as well as Malik Beasley. It didn't end up happening, but there's always potential for this guy to be moved, and getting a first-round pick might be able to help bolster the bench that they're wanting, or develop a talent in that regard that's maybe not unhappy getting 10-15 minutes per game. What do you think about these other two guys, Doc?
Man, if Zach Lavine or Donovan Mitchell theoretically are available, and I'm Leon Rose, I'm picking up the phone and I'm making phone calls. Absolutely. I saw an article, just to backtrack a little, that said that the Pacers had a loose framework in place with New York for Obi Toppin for Chris Duarte straight up, which I thought was pretty interesting, which means, and I think that kind of proves the point you said earlier, that they probably are looking to upgrade offensively at the shooting guard position. Donovan Mitchell is the best shooting guard in the league currently. That's my opinion, but I think that you'd be hard-pressed finding another shooting guard that is better than Donovan Mitchell. I think Zach Lavine, in terms of position, is still a top 10 shooting guard without a doubt. He's been lagged with some injuries, but if either of those guys theoretically were available, I'd absolutely be picking up the phone and saying, okay, what are you guys looking for in terms of your net gain for this, Because if you put D. Mitch or Zach Lavine on the Knicks, it's over, baby.
And Doc, Donovan, we've talked a little bit on the channel before. There has been reports per The Athletic. There was a guy within The Athletic in Ohio who was very, very in-depth in the system and knows a lot of guys there. And everybody he spoke to said that Donovan wanted to go back to New York, back home to New York, rather.
Yeah, and Jason Lloyd.
Jason Lloyd of The Athletic. And that's not just a nobody, that's a guy who does a lot of stuff there in Ohio. He knows a lot of things, and so it's definitely something to look at. I see Donovan as a loyal guy, but if there's a little bit of turmoil there, you could see a package deal for him being traded, or maybe the Knicks are patient. Something interesting to, even think about is when the Knicks wanted Donovan Mitchell and there were trade rumors being discussed with Utah and Donovan Mitchell being moved over there. The New York Knicks didn't initially do it. I think the Utah Jazz, or they thought that the Utah Jazz were asking for too much. And then the Utah Jazz ended up pulling the trigger and trading Donovan to Cleveland. But something interesting to think about as well is because they were so patient about it, because they were really thinking, being smart and logistical about their trade package, they ended up winning against the team that picked up Donovan Mitchell. And so I think that the New York Knicks have a smart office. They know what they're doing. They can be patient. They may be patient this offseason. They may wait until something arises that will really push them over the edge. Maybe a star like Donovan Mitchell is going to become unhappy and, when his option or his trade option is up, or when his contract is up, he might want to move over there. I could definitely see that. But I want to ask you, Doc, what do you think is likely to happen among these four? Like, for example, Zach Lavine, what percentage do you think out of 100 do you think this could actually happen, as well as the others?
All right, well, let's start from the top. I think the Kristaps Porzingis trade target is probably 25%, just because he commands such a massive salary, and he would be their highest paid guy. And their pillar right now, the face of the franchise, is Jalen Brunson. That guy, no one should be making more than that guy. The Obi Toppin for a first-round pick, or a player like Chris Duarte, I think that's more like a 70, 75, even 80%.
Wow.
Where they're shopping him for a reason, man. It's because they know that they're gonna stick with Randall. They definitely know that. I would even go as far as to say, had they known that Julius Randle was gonna become an All-NBA talent, they wouldn't have picked Obi Toppin. They would have went in a different direction. I don't think that the Donovan Mitchell one, even though Jason Lloyd reported this, and I love The Athletic, I don't think there's any way the Cavs ever do business with the Knicks for Donovan Mitchell. I think if Donovan goes and eventually plays for the Knicks, it'll be when he opts out of his final year in his contract. I mean, I saw his Instagram not too long ago. He's putting in work with Darius Garland. You know, I think Donovan likes the fact that he is the leader of this young team. Talent-wise, they are far superior to the Utah Jazz team that he was leading. That's just the truth. And I think that he believes as a competitor, they can go places. And I think they're just going to put the work in and see what they can accomplish. Zach Lavine, I'll give this one a 50-50 split.
Wow, that's high.
I've heard a lot of rumblings that the Bulls are done with this roster. And they're looking to move on, and they're looking to break things up and shake things up. I would not be surprised if Portland, was somehow connected to the Bulls. I wouldn't be surprised if New York was. I mean, when you have a guy, one of your franchise pieces like Zach Lavine, coming out and publicly stating, well, if I was traded, these are the places I would like to go. To me, that says a lot of that is happening behind the scenes. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And I could see, this marriage just kind of ending for Zach and the Bulls.
Yeah. I mean, the more you think about it, if the Bulls are trying to potentially break up their big three, and Zach Lavine saying things like that, I think it definitely adds some credence. Although with the Donovan Mitchell stuff, I think I might be a little bit higher on this potential trade package than you might be. With Donovan Mitchell coming out, with these reports, I don't think it gives it enough to really push it over the edge. However, he's also said stuff where I believe he was on a podcast and he mentioned in game 3 when they came out, the noise, the fans, he was just so geeked out about it. He was just excited to be there. He's even mentioned in Utah that it's one of his favorite places to play. It almost seems so apparent that he wants to go there. It's almost inevitable, in my opinion. Now, do I think that he'll be traded to the New York Knicks? I actually think this might happen, because if he's so willing to go to New York, or that he's made it very vocal that he might want to go to New York, then, when his contract is potentially expiring, I could see New York trying to make a deal, or at least Cleveland trying to make a deal with New York to try and get as many assets as they can, instead of just losing Donovan for nothing.
Fair, very fair. Interesting perspective. I like that.